Hey everybody, Spencer here. Just really quickly before this starts, there were some audio issues, both my mic picking up my breathing and my guest mic being a little bit too quiet. I tried to fix a lot of it during post, but I didn't quite get all of it. I still think that this episode's really good. Eric did an amazing job, and I'm excited for y'all to hear it. I just want to apologize for that beforehand, but thank you all so much, and enjoy this week's episode of Mythicast. Hello everyone and welcome to the Constructive Criticism Network. This network is here to help you improve at Magic the Gathering at every level. From Pauper Leagues to Top 1000 Mythic, we've got you covered. If you want to hear the entire network, head on over to our sponsor at puremtgo.com, where you can hear each and every show, each and every week, and check out their sponsor, MTGO Traders, and tell them that the CCMTG Network sent you. Now sit back, enjoy the show. From YouTube, podcasts, and more, here's this week's episode from ConstructiveCriticism.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Mythicast. I'm your host, Spencer, and this week I'm joined by a special guest, a man that hit Mythic with a deck that many did not expect. We have Eric here, hitting Mythic with green-white tokens this month. How's it going, Eric?
Oh, hello. I'm doing great. Hello, everyone.
Eric, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to have you here. Before we get too far into this, don't forget to check out our sponsor at puremtgo.com. They are an amazing sponsor. We really appreciate them every week. And don't forget to shoot over any Patreon ideas for you for the Patreon over to heezymedia@gmail.com. And we're going to pick somebody who has an awesome idea on that. So now that all that's out of the way, Eric, let's talk about you. I kind of
Yeah.
know a little bit more about you, the type. How long have you been playing Magic? What type of decks do you like? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I started playing like kitchen table magic when I was at school, and was around Onslaught era. I played it a lot of time just tabletop. I didn't know there was competitive magic or anything like that. And just when I was at college, where about Magic Origins, but when I was introduced to really competitive magic and stuff.
What was your favorite deck to play at the beginning? Like what was your go-to kitchen table deck?
Yeah, I played a lot with a couple pals, and we just love to play aggro against control. We had
Nice,
the Psychotog blue black deck was our favorite control deck.
nice, nice. That's a powerful way to start playing Magic.
Yeah, and we we had a lot of tribal decks for aggro. We had the goblins deck, the elves deck.
Some powerful
Uh,
Odyssey cards you're starting with.
yeah,
That's nice. That's
uh,
nice. So, talk to me about your kind of this week we're going to talk about green white deck, a green white tokens deck. But talk to me. How did your climb to Mythic go? Like, what rank did you achieve? What kind of decks did you play against along the way?
yeah. My climb was very quick. I ran really hot. Was about 4 hours from platinum to mythic.
Wow, that is fast.
Yeah. I played a lot against the ramp decks, both
Okay,
Kusai and Band. Some mono red, some blue white control. Not many black red decks, which was kind of lucky
sure,
because Mayhem Lava was basically the most problematic card for this deck.
sure.
Some
Was
fires deck.
I
Yeah,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
That's actually what I was gonna ask. Did you get to play against a lot of fires on your way up?
Not a lot, but I would like to play more. It's one of your best matchups.
Oh, interesting. I'm excited to talk about that. Is there any other decks that you tried along the way, or did you? I mean, you said you did it in 4 hours, so clearly you were just winning with this.
Yeah, in the last season, I was playing a green black deck, green black aggro, based around the Great Hank, and I was basically locked because I was going last weekend. I played the Mythic Challenge, and I was basically locked in green black. But I don't like that format very much, so I kind of tired, and I wanted just to relax and play something else. And green white tokens is a pet deck of mine since Ravnica. I just love playing the deck. I dropped last rotation because the Jund sacrifice deck was a nightmare, and I never picked it up again. But then, as soon as the rank restarted, I picked up the deck just for fun, and I kept winning. There was no Jund anymore.
What made you want to pick this up? You just wanted something quick. You said you didn't like the format. So was it the speed of this deck that enticed you? Like what was the reason that you thought, it's time to pack those Trastanis back up?
Yeah, basically, Magic is a game of variance, and each player has the kind of variance that annoys him the most. There's a lot of people that doesn't like your own draws variance, like grabbing aggro decks that can flood or second lands and stuff. But in my case, I don't like feeling powerless. I don't like grabbing decks like the bench deck, where you open a hand with like four lands, Anissa,
Sure.
Rose Spiral, and Uro, and you think, wow, if my opponent's playing mono red or black red, he can just trample and there's nothing I can do. I hate that. Even when these are the best decks, I it's just shooting for me. I can't play them well.
Sure. Is there any
So
so
yeah,
you don't enjoy those style of decks, but having the control and being able to be the beatdown is something that you enjoy.
I always like being the player with tempo advantage.
Okay.
Either
Cool.
I like playing reactive, but only if my answers are cheaper than the threats of the format,
Sure.
like
Okay.
Legacy and stuff.
That's fair. That's fair. Is there any changes that you made along the way that we should cover before we talk about the deck?
On the main deck, not much. I changed a lot of the sideboards because this deck is obviously very weak to reps in the main deck, so you gotta have transformational sideboards and stuff.
Well, let's talk about the main deck really quick. This deck has 17 creatures. It has one giant killer, two Amara, the soul of the Accord, four Woodland Champion, four Lovestruck Beast, two Tristani, four Venerated Loxodon, two Elspeth Sun's Nemesis, four Raise the Alarm, four Matcha Multitudes, two Return of the Wild Speaker, four Flower Flourish, two the first Aroan Games, and three Conclave Tribunal. It has 22 lands, three of them being Castle Ardenvale, six forests, five plains, four temple gardens, and four temple of plenty. So this list looks pretty tuned. Where was the starting point for this? Like how did you think? Was this all you, or did you find this somewhere? How did this start?
No, as I said, this is a pet deck of mine since Ravnica, so every format I just pick it up and play it a bit, learn something, then drop out to play more powerful decks, and you just accumulate this knowledge, you know. In this specific iteration, the last time I picked it up, Return of the Wide Speaker was a card that impressed me a lot. It just kills your opponent so fast, and like you you can be very behind, and one bad block by your opponent just ends the match. So uh, I tried to go hard for that, but unfortunately, Elspeth and some of the new cards make humans. So there's a kind of a normal. So I had to go down a bit of the wild speaker because it was a lot of reps. I couldn't go all in for that.
So talk to me about that. So you only need to pick one. I assume that you're picking the overrun mode usually then.
It's the primary plan. Yes, it's the overrun mode, but the other mode comes out often as well.
Okay.
Like
So
I have like Love Struck Beast and Woodland Champion, so I often have like a big creature where I can draw 6 cards.
yeah, talk to me about Woodland Champion. This is not a card that I've seen a ton of. What made you want this in your deck, and kind of how has it performed for you?
It performs okay. It's not amazing. The main reason I picked this card as soon as Return of the Odd Speaker was spoiled, exactly to have access to the second mode. But right now, because the way I changed my deck and I put a couple Rowan games, it often helps with that as well. And
Okay.
some some of these lower decks like fires have a really trouble doesn't have a very easy time dealing with it. Like it gets basically on turn three gets bigger than
Then
Deathly Clarion.
yeah, that makes
It
sense.
goes over the top of his creatures. Like Teferi is basically his only answer.
Sure. Talk to me about kind of how this deck wins the most often. Are you winning through a couple of March of the Multitudes? Are you winning through Return of the Wild Speaker like Flower Flourish? What are the ways that you're most commonly winning the game with this deck?
Yeah, this deck is main deck is basically a combo deck. You just start counting your permanents since your opening hand. You you, you count your progression and like okay, with this hand in turn four, turn five, I can make a march for five or six, and all my opponents died to flourish your return. Post sideboard, this changes a lot. The transformation happens quite often, but main deck you're basically a combo deck.
When you say transformation, what are you bringing in to kind of change the way that that game plays out?
Yeah, you can't really try to combo people that plays counter spells and wraps, and especially Mayhem Devil. So in some matchups, especially the red ones, you just became the bigger deck, the control deck, taking out some tokens, some creatures and stuff, and bringing Devout Decrees, Knight of Autumn, Stosmir, and other matchups like control and stuff. You just bring out reactive cards like Conclave Tribunal and put resilient threats like Gideon, Question Beast, and stuff. Ceratops.
You mentioned Devout Decree. You have four of those in your sideboard. You're saying that you have a pretty big problem with Mayhem Devil then, and that this card you just need something to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's not only getting rid of it. Like the Judge matchup was impossible because you can't ever just go around Mayhem Devil because he just kills so many things the turn he came in. Even killing him doesn't matter that much. You just can't you just can't apply your plan against them never. But against the Black Red, which is a smaller deck, you can do the control, which you couldn't against Giants. So the plan is really put as much removal as you can and just stop him. Because one day you make enough land drops to just kill him with a march,
Sure.
even
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 through
if
the
he
devil,
just
that
killed
makes sense.
everything. Yeah.
Talk to me. What are kind of the key cards in this deck right now?
Uh, the main deck, the key cards are just March and Loxodon. They're by far the most powerful ones. The other cards are just like removal or some tokens or gap closers. Um, in post sideboard games that change a lot. Why I have so much one offs or two offs because those cards shine in post sideboard games. Run games is great in some matchups. Elspeth is an all star in others. Return of the Odd Speaker is a blowout against the Flash deck, for example.
Sure. The mana in this deck seems really good. You're only playing 22 lands, but that's because you're playing four Flower Flourish. Do you ever
Yeah,
have mana problems at all in this deck?
well, variants happen. Sometimes you do, but basically, besides the ramp decks, this is the best mana you can find in this format. Flower of Flourish, I couldn't name it the most important, but it's probably one of the best cards that allows you to have a split card mana win condition, which is the
Sure.
amazing strategically when you're beating your deck. Uh, the mana for two color aggressive decks is not good in this format because both Table Passage and Temples come into play tapped.
Right.
So it's just another re- just another really good pump in your mana to have in Flower Flourish.
Right. Talk to me about Castle or oh my gosh,
Ardenvale.
Ardenvale. This is a net new card for this deck. This deck, was not playing. This was not out when this deck was very popular. Is it a pretty big addition for this deck? Do you get activated a lot?
I activated a lot. In this format specifically, it's not that big of a deal. Like we all know how cards like Legion's Landing can be powerful, but there isn't a lot of blue white and stuff where incremental advantages matter. Like you activating this once or twice won't change a game against Sultai, Bant, Emerge Ventures, anything. It's just great against especially flash decks and the blue eyed control because
Okay.
you can just stay with your march open. If they tap out to do something, you march and kill them. If they don't, you just activate it, progress your game, keep the mana stranded. Nice in those matchups, but it's not that big of a deal.
Talk to me about what the coolest interactions in this deck are.
Um,
The first thing that I saw was just playing a Woodland Champion and getting to raise the alarmment. That's got to be fun.
yeah, Woodland Champion is the card that just gives you more of like stolen games. People think they won't die, especially against fires. It's like they put their creatures, they hit you for a bunch, they think they can't die in the crackback, and then you like put a Trostani, you get more three power right away, and then you use the creatures from Trostani and some other lands to make a march, which pump more like four power, and then he just dead. You
Nice.
with with Raise the Alarm, as you said, you get a lot of people to making bad blocks.
That's awesome.
So the gacha of this deck is really Woodland Champion.
You
Uh,
mentioned that you think that Fires is a good matchup. Can you kind of talk about that for the listeners? I mean, you would think a deck that's playing four Deafening Clarions, sometimes even more sweepers post board would have a pretty good matchup against you, but you're saying that's one of the decks you actually want to run into.
yeah, Game One is not great. I would say his favorite. Exactly as you said, Deafen Clarion is a pain, but uh, post post board you just bring your Crescent Beach, your Gideon, your Ceratops. You don't mind Deafen Clarion at all. And the thing that makes this great is that none of his sideboard cards help against you. Like or the Robber of the Rich, War Boss, that's awful against you. His removals, counter spells and stuff just doesn't matter at all. So so this becomes like he has like 20 cards that matter against you, and your full sideboard configuration is great against him. Really, it's really rare that I lose. And the time where I lose in the sideboard games is basically for Rakdos, the only card that really can mess you up.
So talk to me about Rakdos. How are you? You said that you're bringing in things like Night of Autumn and Devout Decree and Tulsimir and trying to go bigger there. Are you? Does that mean you're boarding out things like like the Return of the Wild Speaker, and you're trying to hold the ground with something like a Love Struck Beaks? Like how did those games play out after board?
You talking about fire?
No, I was talking about Rakdos.
Oh, when I said Rakdos, I was talking about the 4 drop from Fire.
Oh,
The
okay,
Achilles guy.
okay.
Yeah,
So
that
so
that card messes you up sometimes.
okay, I understand. Can you talk to me about the Rakdos sacrifice matchup?
Okay. Yeah, that matchup is very bad. Game one, and both sideboard games. Yeah, I bring in Toastmere, all of the Vault Decrees and stuff, and Night of Autumn. But no, actually, I take out all my Love Struck Beasts and stuff because you need a removal to always kill Mayhem Devil and Midnight Reaper
Okay,
always. So you can't go for the sacrifice outlets like Priest of Forgotten Gods and forgot the new one that makes a ghost. I forgot the name.
sure, Woe Strider.
Full Strider, thank you. Yeah, you can't really spend your removal spells on those cards. So what you have to do, you make to you have to make the claim of the firstborn really bad. I bought out
Oh,
all my
okay,
woodland champions and obstruct beasts, and ba- basically their claims becomes dead cards.
got it. That makes
I just
sense.
I just try to trade some tokens with their stuff, kill all Mayhem Devils, kill Ghost Riders, and then someday I'll have enough permanents and land drops to kill him with March.
Okay,
That's the plan.
that makes sense. Let's talk about some new cards though. We have this new set coming out, and I wanna talk about some of these new cards that are going to be available. You sent over five new cards to kind of talk about. We have I'm gonna we got Cub Warden, Gem Razor, Regal Leosar, Migratory Great Horn, and I'm not gonna get the magistrate's name right. D- Darnith?
Yeah, Generous,
Dranith? Dranith?
Generous.
So there's some interesting things in here. The first one, let's talk about cub order really quickly because this has the effect mutate, and when you mutate, you get 2/1/1s. But you also have 3 other mutate cards here, and when you mutate it, it's going to keep that text, so you can keep mutating on that creature to pump out more 1/1s. And I assume that's kind of what you're thinking with all of these cards.
Yes, exactly. When this spoils came out, I saw a lot of people talking about how they wanted to mutate into Question Beasts and Holocronos and stuff. But I don't want to do that at all. That seems like awful to lose a 5 mana card and a 4 mana card to one removal spell. Like I got excited to play tokens with mutates because that's basically all upside. Like you make a Ready Alarm on 2, you mutate anything on that, you get the value
Right away.
value.
That pseudo haste, that three, those large creatures. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So when you have such good enablers, you gotta start thinking that mutate works as parasitic uh, parasitic forgot it, a parasitic mechanic because every time you mutate, you get your previous mutate trigger back, like you said. So if I'm gonna put mutate cards in this deck, like Cub Warden, the obviously fits in the theme, I want to have more to just like pound, pound, pound. It starts
Sure.
getting a lot of advantage. So I started to look at the cheap mutate one. I think those ones will be much better than the flashy Apex cards. I think the ramp guy that mutates for 3 is just excellent in a mid-range deck. The guy seems really good, seems a sleeper to me. The disenchant guy seems awesome as well because we have fires and wilderness reclamation, embercleave and stuff.
Talk to
So
me
yeah,
about the Regal Leosar. You're excited about this card, I assume, because its mutate cost is white. So are you just
yeah.
never planning on casting the red side of this?
Well, I actually looked at maybe making it splashing red because in this format we had a card that makes 2 tokens,
Uh
a
huh.
2 that's red, but we don't have a Naya Triland, unfortunately, so I don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay.
But yeah, just mutating 2/1 for 3 is great. It's a great rate for all your tokens, and you actually off putting this on a token, so that one gets an added bonus just for the power and toughness of the USR.
Okay.
And just accumulating that with other mutates, I think you can make a really great snowball.
Is there any cards coming in this new set that you think are bad for this deck?
Yeah, I didn't actually saw one specific. I think some of the old cards might become more prevalent and become bad for this deck, like the hate cards from I forgot where the set they're from, like Noxious Grasp and
Oh,
Aether
sure,
Gust and
sure.
stuff. I think that cards will become very mandeckable and very dominant because all of them get all of the wedges.
Okay.
Like Aether Gust get like all the ultimatums, all the apex, everything. So I think we'll see these cards everywhere, and that's kind of bad for this deck. Like Aether Gust in your march is kind of tough.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to say about the deck kind of before we wrap up? Any advice you want to give anybody?
Yeah, don't this deck, like I said, is a combo deck. Like every time you open your hand, you gotta think in which turn can I march for lethal. If you think you have this time, keep your hand. Otherwise, don't. You can do better. Like I hit Mythic a lot, and the biggest difference I see every time the bracket resets is how people mulligan. In Mythic, you face good hands all the time. Your opponent's decks are always doing what they're supposed to. When I go back to Platinum, I get a lot of free wins from people with bad hands, not making land drops. Like, especially when you're not playing a Forgiven deck, and this deck is not forgiven by the slightest, you gotta mulligan a lot with your
Awesome.
mulligan work.
Well, Eric, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. This has been fun, and I hope it's a deck that I know it's a deck that a lot of people will be excited to try out and play. I think you posted a sideboard guide on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Yeah, I asked for some tips. I posted what I was doing at the time. It was
so
not so well thought, but
sure. Well, I'll
what I
make
got.
sure to link that and your Twitter in the show notes. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I unfortunately don't stream or anything, so people just can find me at Twitter at Coutinho Brewer.
Awesome. Well, I want to once again say thank you so much for coming on. You can check out the rest of the Constructive Criticism Network over at constructivecriticism.com and on puremtgo.com. You can find the show at Arena Mythicast. You can find me over on Twitter at Spencer13H, and I also stream at twitch.tv/easymedia. Once again, Eric, thank you so much for coming on, and keep crushing it, man. It sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulders for Magic, and you really understood how to play this deck, and it was really fun to talk to you about it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was great to be here in my first podcast. It was
Awesome.
an honor. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and we'll see everybody next week with another episode of Arena Mythicast.